Hello, 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 and welcome to the Get Your Guy Coaching podcast. I have a very special guest, and I would consider her a publishing sister of mine who has helped me so much in my own journey as I get my book out. But enough about me. Miss Toni Chapman, thank you so much for joining us, girl. Now, Toni, before we get into it, I just want to let the girls know you are a foodie, you are a culinary expert, you are a social media kind of celebrity of sorts, right? The girls know you if they know anything about food and all of that. With that said, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I am a huge fan. I've learned so much from you. So I'm so excited to be here and to be chatting.
Yeah, I'm happy too. I want to talk all about food and dating and relationships, but before we get into that, I gave you a little intro. Why don't you let the girls know what you do and why you're so amazing at what you do?
Awesome. So my name is Toni Chapman, also known as the Moody Foodie on all socials.
That's right.
I am a culinary content creator, an author, a philanthropist. I'm a hostess. And so I love teaching people how to make dishes that are impressive but approachable. So that throughout their life, whether it be through meal prep, cooking for a partner, cooking for family, celebrating, hosting, gathering, they're prepared, they're ready to go. And so my recipes are flavorful, they're cultural, but they're also just, available for everyone. Everyone loves them. And so yeah, that's my job and that's what I do.
I love it. And you have a new book coming out. Why don't you talk a little bit about that, girl?
Yes, I have a book coming out called Everything's Good, kind of like a play on words because I kind of have like this positive attitude in life and in the kitchen. So it's just 100 recipes for every day, all the time, whether you're hosting, whether you're cooking for a babe, whether you're doing meal prep for yourself during a busy week because we're all career ladies and we have a lot going.
Yes.
The book is for you. It's going to help you with the fundamentals so that you learn how to make things from scratch. Even if you've never picked up a fork before, this book is going to be for you. So we're really excited about it.
I love it. And I'm going to get my copy quick and in a hurry. So I'm so happy that you're going to share a little bit of your wisdom with us today. But let's get into it because you were talking a little bit about this book and how kind of accessible it is for so many people. Um, I know that you believe that cooking is a skill that everyone should have, and especially women. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think it's a little bit of a bold statement.
Yeah, I have always considered cooking a basic life skill. So, not just for women, but for humans, right?
Yeah.
Like, it is so important. Like, it's not sustainable to be eating out every day and all the time. It's not good for you. And you also save money when you learn how to cook at home. So, even if you weren't taught, I think it's everyone's individual responsibility to learn how to cook some basic things, whether you're single and you're just going to make things for yourself, or you plan on starting a family sometime in the future, having a partner, or hosting and gathering friends. I think being able to make things is a skill that, you kind of owe it to yourself to learn. And it's really a nice little X factor in life, truly. I mean, it really does help in all areas of life.
Yeah, I love that. The way that I think about it in the work that I do is that I think it's a very feminine, energetic activity. And I don't mean that in a traditional gender role. I mean that it is a way for one to slow down. It is a way for one to engage one's senses and to find pleasure. I mean, that's one of the things that I think so many of our foremothers were able to do in their very stressful and strenuous lives as well. I think it is something that if you do have the time, one should definitely try to do it, especially if you're trying to incorporate more feminine, energetic actions and activities in your life. But with that said, I know you talked earlier about the busy professional and independent woman, right? Talk to me about what she can find in this book and how we can help her in this episode think about maybe cooking in a different way because I know some of the girls are very much door dashing and Uber eating. So talk to me a little bit about your thoughts around that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great question. And I do agree with you about cooking being something that's very feminine and it can be very sensual. And it's just something that's really nice to have as we grow as women. But also the other side of that is that many of us, including myself, we're busy career women. I have multiple companies. I've been in the food space for a really long time. And it can just be really grueling. You've had a long work day. The last thing you want to do is come home and make something that takes forever and that requires a whole bunch of ingredients. So one of the things that I really love about my style of cooking is that, especially I encourage people to cook on Sundays. That's like a nice day of like reset, to relax, to just take that one day for yourself. As busy as we are, I definitely recommend that. And you can either meal prep for a busy week. You can even make something soulful but simple. That's what I like to call it. And you can freeze it or put it in the refrigerator. And so you can have something that nourishes you throughout the week. And you have that little bit of time, just like the gym takes a little bit of time and self-care and anything that you want to work in life, you do need to take a little bit of the time, but it'll set you up for a successful week. And all of my dishes are, fridge and freezer proof. You just pop them in the oven or the microwave when you're ready. So instead of spending all that money on Uber Eats, and I always love your episodes about being a little bit more financially responsible, I
Yeah.
think that this is a nice way to do that for yourself. And it's a nice hobby and it's fun, it's relaxing. I like to watch girlfriends while I cook. And it's so nice. Some of my videos, you can actually hear it in the back. People are like, "Is that Joan?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it is."
I
Um,
love it.
so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm cooking for my family, I always have some sort of music on. I try to put on like Motown because my kids know nothing about that, and so we need to educate them. But
We do.
I'm a music person while I'm cooking, and it really does help me, put me in a groove of sorts and in a
I
zone.
love
So
that.
I
I
love
love
that you
that.
have
Do you
your
cook on
grown kids
Sundays?
traditions. So my partner and I, we are more, I would consider us an equal partnership. So I cook 2 times a week. He cooks 2 times a week, and then we'll have leftovers, 1 to 2 days a week, and then we'll eat out or Uber Eats one day a week.
I love that. I love the fact that both of you are cooking, right? Because it is a labor of love, right? And so both parties contributing to that is so nice. Absolutely. I love it.
We do what we can for God and my country, as my mother would say.
I love it.
Let's talk about mothers and grandmothers because one of the things that I've noticed in doing this work is that many of us actually haven't, some of those cooking and culinary traditions haven't been passed down as much as maybe they used to before. We were so busy at school, right? Or we went away to college, and so maybe some of that wasn't necessarily taught as much. Have you seen this in, the conversations that you've had, and how is that affecting, people's relationship with cooking?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a wonderful question. And it is true. So a lot of the traditions, the culinary traditions, especially in the Black and Brown community, we're starting to lose those, right? And so a lot of it is because our food tends to be a little bit more involved. And so it requires look, taste, touch, all of your senses,
Intuition.
intuition, right? And so these are things that not everyone was taught, but also too, it's like anything else. If you're not constantly doing it, you'll forget. And so it's important to be able to apply the things that you have learned. And so I like a more approachable way to cooking soul food or cultural food because I kind of cover the entire diaspora in this cookbook. I cover Southern, Caribbean, Latin,
Love it.
all of those like traditional dishes from mac and cheese to collard greens to cornbread, fried chicken, all those things that you grew up eating and that are really important to our culture. Like some of these dishes have, deep stories and histories, like black eyed peas on New Year's. Like we eat that for a reason. It doesn't just ring in good luck. And so I talk about a lot of that in my cookbook, but I teach people how to make it in an approachable way, because sometimes, these dishes can be really intimidating. So my recipes are known for being really easy, approachable. The way that I teach is something that everyone can take. And more often than not, people are having so much success with these recipes and they're saying things like, I can't believe mac and cheese was this easy, or I never thought to fry fish, and now I do it, multiple
Yeah.
times a month. So it's important that we learn and we pass the culture and the traditions down to our children, because that's what keeps our culture alive. A huge part of it is food.
Yeah, I love that so much. One of the things that I've been doing within my own family is, like every time I go home, either to my mom's or my grandmother's, they're always cooking something, and I'm there writing it down. I've gotten them both their own cookbook so that like we can start to pass some of those traditions down. But I love the fact that your book is also providing kind of fulfilling a void as well for those individuals that maybe don't have a vast knowledge of recipes in their own back pocket or in their kitchen that they're able to, bust out and start whipping things up. So I'm so happy and so excited about this book. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
So let's talk about dating and cooking and food. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, there's a question that comes out quite a bit when it comes to men, and they often will ask, can you cook? And I think it is, what do you think? One, what do you think about that question? And then I'll share my thoughts, and then we can get really into this.
Yeah, it is a very common question. And
Okay.
I think it's a fair question. I think women should be asking that question back.
I know that's
Uh,
right.
yeah, yeah, definitely. We should be asking that question back. But I think it is a fair question. I think men, especially the ones that are looking to settle down, are thinking about family and tradition and hosting. And so cooking is a fundamental part of all those things, you know? And so I think it's a fair question. What do you think?
Um, I think that couple of things because there are a lot of women, as we were talking about earlier, that haven't kind of leaned into those skills, and so it can be a very triggering question. I think we should be very honest about where our skills are, but I think we should be very curious about asking, well, why is that? And when we think about the nature of feminine and masculine relationships, you know, men and women are very different in the way that they think about relationships, and so and life, I think that one of the bigger goals for many women, just as people are wired, is to create connection and community. And for men, it is about their purpose. And so for when I think the underlying thing that men are trying to figure out is less about traditional gender roles, but more about are you going to help support me as I go toward this purpose, right? My mission in life, whether it's getting that VP role or being a community leader or a politician, I'm going to need sustenance. I'm going to need gasoline, right? And so that's part of the support that I'm looking for to maximize and achieve my goals. So I don't like that question at the very beginning of a courtship because now I'm interviewing you and these things actually don't correlate with a successful relationship outcome. But I do think, like, if we're asking this question around date three, right, then that he's probably given much more investment into the courtship. And now we're trying to get a sense of how do you show up in a relationship? How do you show love, receive love? And that question can be a part of it. So that's kind of how I think about it. It really depends on when they're asking the question.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, do you like to cook is a nice way that men have kind of like formed that question, which I think is nice. And I 1,000% agree with you. I think for some women it could be triggering because especially if there's a gap in knowledge there,
Mhm.
it can be an insecurity or even beyond that. You know, there are men that are not looking for partnership, but they're looking for someone to come and cook and clean for them and be their mother. And
100%.
so it is, and I agree with you so early. You know, if a man is asking you that on the first date, you know, it is definitely something to look at because I agree. I wouldn't say it is the hallmark of a successful relationship, but I always say it's a nice bonus to support a healthy relationship for
Yeah.
both parties to be able to cook, not just the woman. Like you know, I encourage men, you know, I have 40% male audience and they're wanting to learn and they cook and they buy the books because they
I
want
love that.
yeah, I grew up. My dad was the cook of our family. He loved to cook. He cooks for my stepmom. He brings her breakfast in bed. He grills, and she does too. But it's a way to nurture a woman on the other side. But I agree, some men are looking to this as to if this woman can support me, you know, is she going to be able to provide, you know, in this way? And it's one of those kind of like traditionally gender specific roles. But I do think that both parties should kind of, you know, share this like mutual interest to some degree.
I 100% agree. One of the things I love about the relationship that my mother and her husband have is like they both cook down.
Hmm.
And that makes me feel really good, especially during holidays, right? When it can be really intense.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but growing up, my family, it was the women that were cooking and cleaning and the men that were watching TV and getting their plates made. And so to be able to see my mom in the kitchen and my stepdad on the grill and they're both like working toward this amazing goal together is just like such a beautiful thing to watch.
It's amazing. It's family. And
Mhm.
that's what family looks like. It's both of us, right? Like I always, you know, I never want a woman to be slaving all day in a kitchen, in a hot kitchen. And some of us, we grew up with that dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Seeing our mothers or our grandmothers, you know, and that can be traumatizing. And you see that instead of pouring their Sunday into themselves or their Saturdays, they're spent, you know, hard labor. And oftentimes it may not be appreciated and so I think it's really important that we look at this as something that we can build in a family dynamic together. We can do
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Dan can participate or your partner can participate, and so can you.
And I think it's really especially important if you are a high achieving, successful woman, right? That like part of, just like I was saying, that a man's mission is really important and they want support, like if you're a high achieving woman, you're gonna look for that as well. And so part of that is also saying if he can support and nurture you as well, and cooking could be a really good representation of that. Yeah.
Yes, it
Okay.
is. It is. I always tell women that, especially when we're high achieving, like it is nice to have that yin yang balance in a man, and a
Yeah.
man who's comfortable cooking and serving to some degree. Like it's a nurturing
It is.
quality.
And
It's
it's
really
providing.
it's providing. It really is, and it can be really helpful after a long day for your partner to make you something special, and that's nourishing. So on both sides, it's absolutely important.
Yes, honey. The sexiest thing a man can do is cook me some vegetables, girl. I live.
Listen, yeah,
I
pour the
live.
wine too.
I live. Yes, girl. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's get into these pieces, as the kids say. Um, should we be cooking during courtship? What do you think about that?
So this is the number one question I get is it, people always ask me, when should I start to cook for someone? I'm dating someone. When is early? What is too early? When is too late? Because sometimes women are afraid to like miss the mark. You don't want to not do enough either. And so I would say that, obviously you're the expert, so you tell me if this is a good timeline, but I would always say that I think after you've gotten a chance to know someone and it's really like a long-term relationship is looking promising and you feel good, I look at it as like a nice gesture, as something nice to do,
Agreed.
right? I look at it as okay, we can. I always do it as I'm going to plan this date. Usually, maybe like date 6 or 7 for me, depending on how it's
Yes.
progressing. But it's time for me to like take some initiative and not just plan a date, but do something special. If a guy has been courting me, taking me out to dinner, planning special dates, and so that's usually around the time, especially if I see, okay, we're getting ready to be exclusive, that I would introduce that into the relationship. And I find that that's usually like a nice time. They usually seem to be really appreciative and it doesn't feel too early.
It's almost like you part of my program, girl. That's crazy. Yes, we're very
Listen,
much aligned in the timing of like when this should happen. And I say that too because I do think by this time your guys should have been investing and planning all of these different dates. And it is important to show some reciprocation. This is about acknowledging his work and appreciating it. And the way that you can do that is through thoughtful gifts or, nurturing activities such as cooking. And so I absolutely love that we're aligned here. I do think it is important, and not just like during the courtship, but you know, while you're in a relationship as well, that is also something that can be important to show, appreciation for how they are showing up. Now, for the girls who don't feel comfortable cooking, you better get Tony's book, but and or Uber Eats or whatever what we may do. But this, I think, is important, and I think that it should not be missed in the courtship. That's why we have Toni here. Obviously, she's an expert in what she does, but also realizing that food is actually a very important part of, as we all know, love. I mean, that's what our parents, for many of us, our mothers, really gave to us, right? And so, to share and to give food is to love.
yeah, I agree with you 100%. And even for women that may not feel comfortable, because a lot of the times I have women that don't, if they're not experts in the kitchen or they're not used to cooking, that can feel like a lot of pressure to cook for a man. As someone that has been doing this since I was 7, it is a lot of pressure when I really like a guy.
Mm,
I have always felt that. Like it's like I want them to enjoy the meal. It's, there's like that, when they take the bite, oh my gosh, are they gonna love it? You're always gonna feel that. But I do encourage you to challenge yourself because there is a difference between like it is the expression of labor of love, putting the time and effort into doing something like this. Not only is it really feminine and that's going to translate into the connection, it feels vulnerable and open-hearted, but beyond that, it's reciprocated energy. And sometimes I hear on dates men say that they really appreciate when women do these things
yeah.
and it means a lot to them, even if it's just something simple and easy like appetizers, if you just want to keep it simple, or one appetizer or dessert. Like if you just want to do a dessert and we have a little nightcap after a date, I always suggest that that's nice. You can do like a nice little dessert with some wine, but it is really, really, really important. And I agree, it's a nice little edge. And right at the right time, it can truly like accelerate the relationship for
Yeah.
sure.
I love that. And just for some of y'all listening, I can already hear you. Toni and I are not trying to bring you back to the 1950s and 60s, honey.
No.
What we are trying to do is add on to an amazing courtship that you will have in your dating life, right? And, think about it in new and different ways in a more empowered way and where you have agency around why,
Mhm.
how, and when you decide to cook or if you decide to cook at all. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can already hear some of the girls because I get emails after.
And what's a cook? Like, I love what you said. Like, I like this because I look at it like I'm a hostess, right? I think
Yeah.
like look at it like you're just hosting someone, whether it's a friend or you have a family member in town, and you have complete control over what it is. Like, if you're not comfortable with bringing out the meat and potatoes, just do a dessert with some wine. You could do oysters. Like, I love doing oysters like in the oven. I have a recipe for that. It's really nice and impressive. Like, you could do something simple and small, but still impressive. And it's a nice edge because oftentimes it's unexpected, especially when a guy has been courting you. If you're a career woman, if you kind of position yourself a certain way. So then it shows like, oh, wow, like she's dynamic. And, of course, you set the expectation in your own little fun, playful way that this isn't going to be every day.
I know that's
But
right.
yeah, because especially if it's good, they'll always want more. But I think it's like you said, it's just so empowering to be able to do something sweet and feminine for someone, especially after they've courted you. Like I said, that is very, very, very important. I did a video where a girl reached out to me and she told me that she made an oxtail on the second date. She used my recipe. And obviously, it's expensive, it's a lot of work, it's a cultural dish. And obviously, after the date, she just didn't hear from the guy. And she spent all these hours, putting together something like this because he was Jamaican and she wanted to do something special. And I told the girls, like, this is too soon, too much of an investment in time and in money. You want something that's easy. You want to wait until the time's your face right now. You want to wait
I'm
until the
gagged, girl. I'm
no,
truly
this happened.
gagged.
It went viral. She came out and revealed her identity, and she said, she wanted to do something special. And I said, "Girl, oxtail takes 4 hours on that stove. Like that man he never called back. He ate it off the bone and then left. So we never want to go that far. Absolutely not. But I think once you've dated someone and they've showed and they've invested and they've spent and they've planned dates, it is a nice thing to do.
I love that. So let's talk about potential meal choices if you are to cook around dates six. Like, what sort of meals do you think that we should cook for these dates, depending on the kind of guy that you are talking to?
Yeah, so I love that you said depending on the guy that you're talking to, because I think
Because, girl,
a
I'm a meat and potatoes girl, so I'm not going to be cute and mute with these salads and these fishes, honey. I need steak and I need mashed potatoes.
Yeah, we got that. We got that. We got you covered. Um, yes, it's about knowing the person. So if when you're hosting, whether it's a man, whether it's a family member, whenever people are coming over to your home, you always want to consider their taste. My sister's a vegan, so I wouldn't make steak for her when she came, because you want to show someone that you're being mindful of what they like,
Yeah.
right? That there's also like something to be said about that. So I would say there's different types of guys when it
Okay,
comes to
let's talk
cooking.
about it.
Yeah, there's different types of guys. So there is the career guy. So he's high achieving. He is probably really health conscious. He probably wouldn't want to eat something too heavy because he went to a 7 a.m. Class or did 5 miles in the morning. And it's all a lifestyle for him. He's in finance. He likes to eat healthy. And so for this guy, you want to make something that is impressive, maybe worldly, but you don't want it to be too heavy, too cheesy, too creamy. So there's some recipes that I should like a simple roast chicken would be nice. I have a recipe for that. Something like ceviche or churrasco with chimichurri, a nice salad, but not a boring salad. Like I have like a classic Caesar that's a little bit impressive. You could do even for a guy like this, you could do a chicken parm. It's traditional, but it's not too much. So I always like the finance pros, the lawyers, the doctors, like they tend not to like too much cream and cheese. And trust me, I know, okay?
Uh-huh.
And grilled meats, fishes, mashed potatoes is nice.
Yeah,
Wine, good wine, maybe a cocktail. I have like an espresso martini in there, something nice, that shakes something up for them.
I know that's
Uh,
right.
but that finance guy, we probably want to go a little bit lighter. Do you
Uh-huh.
agree with
Okay.
that?
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
Okay. And then there is like a foodie. Okay, so there's a guy who loves food. You know, it's a part of his personality. If you guys have gone out on dates and he's like picking the restaurant and he's like really interested in food or he's taking you to an omakase experience or something along the sorts, this is the guy that really appreciates good food. So I would choose something that would be like unique, but also like super flavorful. So I have like a whole dinner chapter and like date night chapter in my book. But I would say for a guy like that, you could go in different directions. You could do like an impressive like stuffed shells. That would be the guy that maybe you did like the baked oysters for. I have like mussels in my cookbook. You could do pasta would be good for this guy. Pasta is pretty
Mm,
universal. I have different pasta recipes. You can do like a soup or bread. You know, he's a foodie. He's gonna like it all.
yeah.
Always make a drink though. I would always say to make a drink. Just like when you go out to dinner and you have wine, even if the guy doesn't drink, you could do a mocktail, but drinks are always nice. They're a nice little party trick. They're sexy. And they really set the evening off on a nice foot. They release a little bit of like the nervousness from you. And I would always recommend a drink like a sangria, espresso martini, margarita, something like that.
I love
Um,
that.
and then the last would be, well, you, right? I think it would be like it would be like the meat and potatoes kind of man, okay?
Yes,
This
ma'am.
man, he's still grand and he's an amazing man, but he's not interested in all of the extra stuff. He is a simple guy that likes really great food. He wants a steak and potatoes, okay? He wants really good buttery garlic shrimp. He wants some fried chicken. He likes mac and cheese. Like he is simple in his taste, but we still have to nail it, right? So those are the three types of guys. And I have recipes, like in Everything's Good. I have recipes for all those types of guys.
I know that's right. Okay, girl. Okay, good. I'm excited. One of these days you're gonna have to cook for me, girl,
Yeah, wait,
come
who are
over.
you? Like, let's clarify. What kind of guy are you? Like, which one are
I'm the
you?
meat and potatoes guy. Simpleton girl. I'm a simpleton. I,
Okay.
I'm not trying to do too much. Just enough.
Just
Yeah.
an,
I just need to eat
okay.
down. Yeah, I love
I
that.
love that.
Good. So, some rapid fire questions for you. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. First one. Three ingredients every woman should always have.
A bottle of wine, some butter, and some sort of meat, chicken or fish.
I love that. Okay. One dish every woman should master.
A classic like roast chicken. Yeah. Simple and easy.
Okay. And then finally, your go-to emergency meal when somebody's coming over last minute.
I have these Coca-Cola braised short ribs. So they cook,
Okay.
yeah, they cook in Coca-Cola, so they're sticky. Every man, it doesn't matter if he's finance, it doesn't matter if he's foodie or down home brother. Okay. These
Uh-huh.
Coca-Cola short ribs that I've made, they will not stop talking about them. And they are so easy to pull off. They cook while you do your makeup, while you have a glass of wine and gossip with your girl about this guy. They are so easy and they are super impressive and delicious.
Awesome. I love it. Well, Tony girl, thank you so much for being here. I think the girls are taking notes and also expanding the way that they might be thinking about cooking because I know a lot of women out there are like, I'm not cooking for him at all. And hopefully they might have a different perspective on this now. For everyone listening, please, and we'll have the link in the show notes, get Tony's book, Everything's Good. Because everything is going to be good in that
Everything is
book.
good.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And just really quickly, I just want to say thank you so much, Tony. Like I was saying earlier in this episode, Tony has really looked out for me in this book publishing process. She has been so accessible. She gets on the phone with me anytime I need help, questions, because it has been a roller coaster ride. So I want to thank you so much for your support and just being someone who pays it forward and lifts people up. So I want to just acknowledge that.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for saying that. I am honored to be able to be your friend in this business. I am so amazed by everything that you do and the work that you do is so important. And to your point, we have to look out for each other. This space wasn't created and designed for us to succeed, but you know, together and like through resources and just continuing to work, like we can definitely kill it. So I am so excited for your project. I am always rooting for you, your biggest fan. You are wonderful. You guys have someone so amazing, like inside and out in real life. Like you are just a joy. And I'm so happy to have chatted with you today.
Yeah, so happy that you're here. All right, girl, enough of the love fest. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And um, ladies, I hope that you gained something from this episode. If you have, please tag Tony or myself, Moody Foodie,
The Moody Foodie.
and dating coach Anwar to let us know what you got from this episode. And I'll see you on the flip side. Bye
Yes.
bye.